all of the data sources and schedule them in a given run. And as I said, REST API externalization. Now you have the capability to export, create, move data flows externally using the REST APIs that we have made available. So you can add tags, you can update the roles. So you can do a lot of functionalities by utilizing our REST API externalizations through your CLIs. Going a bit more forward with the pipelines. So this is the dependency pipeline layout or the result sheet. This is very much similar to the no dependency pipeline. So one of the major asks again from the community was, hey, you built as beautiful result outlay for the no dependency pipelines. Why don't we have the same thing for dependency pipelines? So to maintain the similarity between the dependency pipelines and the no dependency pipeline results, we brought in this particular result convenience, wherein it is now consistent across both the pipelines. So it's a unified experience that you would get out of this. In the curated reports, as you know, today we provide data flows, DB flows, data models, pipelines, and all the run stats associated to them. So some of the asks have been that, okay, for the data sources, do we have that information? Now it is being made available. So across all the data sources, you will be able to see what are some of the consumption trends. So what are the dependencies? How many sources are being used? In what frequency? All of that you would be able to see on this particular curated reports page. And you would obviously be able to see the volumes as well. Now, it so happens that in multiple organizations, people come and go. Same thing with our user base as well. So the tools where license where someone is using a particular tool, if say they have created a lot of data flows and so on and so forth, and say they are moving on to a different particular project, then how are the assets of that particular individual? Can they be transferred to another individual, right? So we have given a simple capability now. So at the time of deleting a particular user, you can shift the assets of that particular user to another given named user. Okay, so this will give you a very streamlined onboarding process along with no data loss. Now coming to the AI perspective, we have Amazon Bedrock, which has been added as a new capability within our integration platform. So you can use your Azure Foundry as well as your Amazon Bedrock now as two features through which you can gain access to your AI platform and utilize those as a for your features that we are using within the tool. You can use these platforms. We'll see how we integrate that. I'll show you. This chatbot, it is better if I show you live how exactly we are using it, so that you get the team experience of how this works, right? I'll share it when we get there. Same thing with the data rules as well, where you can define the data rules by giving the prompts. The automatic generation of the rules will happen. Here is where we are showcasing that, okay, if there are any errors within a given SQL that you have written, you can take help of AI to get this resolved. Okay, so with that, let me give you a demo of the platform updates that we just covered through the tool, so that it becomes much easier to see this. So let's start by looking at this tool here, and say I'm right now on the home page. I go under sources, I go under data catalogs. Here is your existing catalog pages that you will see. So there are additional tabs here on the top. It says schema drift and impact analysis. So as I said, any metadata changes that you have seen in a given date range or for a given data source that you are interested in, say I'm interested in MySQL here, I just filter them out and I'll be able to get those informations, right? So table drop, column name, and column added will be coming up over here like this. And the high level metrics will be displayed here. So the moment I change the filter, the metrics will get changed as well. Um, so with respect to the impact analysis here, now you can see that there are two data flows which are being impacted and deleted versus modified. Deleted indicate that for a given for a given column name, what are the changes that have got changed right here in the data flows. So here you can directly navigate to that particular component as to where this impact is being seen. Okay. With that, let me quickly go over to the other aspect, which is the scheduling part, right? So as I said, using the scheduler, now you will be able to add multiple schedules for a given data source. You can have multiple ones. So this is where you can add multiple data sources in a given instance automatically. With that, let me go to the pipelines here and show you some of the dependency results, how they look like. So you can see that this is the result page. This is very similar to your node dependency pipeline result. And we want to give you a unified experience, and that is where this is being shown here. Right? So you can look at the task, the data compare, and all of these. Similarly, if you go under the curated reports today, for the data sources, you would be able to see the various data sources and some of the trends as to how many records are being used, how many data flows exist corresponding to the data source. All of those would be displayed here. So you can have the various filters here, and you can utilize them to get your desired result or output that you are wishing for. Right. So among all of this, you must have seen this beautiful icon here on the left hand side. Right. This is the new chatbot, or the AI assistant as we call it within Datagaps. So let's see what happens if I click this. Oh, it's greeting me. Nice, right? So it says what I want to do. Awesome. Now I have two options here. Either I can query my repository database and get the desired output, or I can use the documentation part of it and try and understand if I can get some steps or help out of this agent from the document side. Now, for convenience sake, I have already done that. I have kept a chat history, so you can refer your previous chats as well here. And now say I was interested to understand what are the number of data flows that we get, right? How many data flows have been created in a given month. You can see that by clicking on this, it's able to execute this query all by itself, and it was able to give me that there are 3,295 data flows that were created in the previous month. Right? So it automatically created that query. I had nothing to do here. It was able to self-create and tell me this. What an awesome feature. Um, Same thing here. Say through the documentation, I'm just very curious to understand, or I'm facing issue, creating a dependency. I need some help. I need some assistance, and that is exactly where I just give my query to this chatbot or to this AI assistant, and it is able to retrieve all the documentation associated to it, walk me through each individual step, and tell me exactly how I can create a dependency pipeline. Awesome feature, right? So I hope you're all excited as what I am with this particular feature. I see a huge interest, I'm sure, in this particular AI assistant. So please do ask your respective AEs, respective technical account managers, to see how you can enable the AI assistance for your tool. And currently we are shipping it as part of this 2.0 release. So please do take a look at it. Okay. So along those lines of AI assistant, let's look at some of the other AI enhancements that we have done. Primarily in the data quality space, I'm going to a full rack. Let's look at that. So what is full rack? So previously, if I let me click on full rack, and you will be able to see that it's trying to sync metadata, it is trying to retrieve the sample data, generate the descriptions, and generate the rack. So it is able to do all of this now as part of the full rack option. So previously, when you do just the single rack, it just generates the rack behind the scenes. But when you do the full rack, it not only syncs up the metadata, it retrieves the sample data and generates the descriptions all in one go. Okay, very useful functionality. If you're trying to use it for mapping manager, etc., this full rack becomes a lot more important. Along those lines, say I have the customer field, I have few relationships associated to the customer field, and I am currently interested to generate any particular rules associated to it, right? So let's look at something which has some rules. Okay, so here I have a customers table, I have a relationships associated to it. Now I'm very much interested in having the rules created. Now I'm slightly lazy, right? I don't feel like writing a big query. So what do I want to do? I want to just retrieve or let the tool write the query for me, and use the AI. That's why AI is here, right? To make our job easier. So let me just give that prompt, right? I just give that prompt and I say generate, and then is able to generate that particular query based on the relationships that it was able to see, as well as based on the RAG that we had performed previously. Okay, so I'm just gonna close it, this one, for the time being, knowing that it is able to do, and that is where exactly this particular query had come, and this is exactly where it was generated from. Right now, on this page itself, let me demonstrate the other feature of debug SQL thing. So I remove a simple character here, and say I'm trying to do a test. Oh, it gives me an option wherein it asks me if I can resolve it with AI. Awesome. Let me click on this. So it's asking AI behind the scenes as to how this particular code can be correctly created. So it will give me a result, and then once the result is there, and I can apply it directly. You see this? It was able to generate it correctly. It corrected the syntax, and the moment I say apply, it applies it directly onto the count here, and then I can do a test, and the test works perfectly fine. Right? I'm sure you all need a breath like me, because we have just looked at some of the amazing features that this tool and this particular version is bringing you all. Am I right? I'm sure there are going to be good thumbs up and in this chat area for this particular features. Okay. With that, let's head back to our deck and look at some of the major product updates that we have upcoming. Now, I would be covering the ETL validator and the data quality monitor side of it. My colleague Pradeep will be covering the BI validator, and he will also be covering the roadmap items. So let's start and cover the ETL validator side of it. We have data contracts. We have the ability now to implement the data contracts and get the visibility of having the predefined data contracts created, so that whenever a new file is coming in, it will be able to associate that with the previously stored data roles and correspondingly implement them. It doesn't matter which version it is coming, you can definitely implement using the version that you feel it is coming up with, right? We'll talk in detail when I demo the functionality. Similarly, coming to the edit of the data flows, or be it the full drag option that we just saw, and we did see some of the rules filtrations that we will see in the upcoming demo as well. Okay, so with that, let's get started. We all know what data contracts is today, right? Data contracts is the capability where you have a consumer and a producer, and you basically need kind of a handshake saying, okay, this is the version of the version through which I'm sending you this file. It could be a simple case of an insurance company which is receiving multiple applications from different hospitals. Now, each hospital might have a different version through which it might be sending that requisition into that insurance company. Now, as an insurance company, I want to make sure that given the respective hospital and the version hospital it is coming from, I would like to apply that specific data rules associated to that hospital. So how can I achieve that? And that is exactly where this particular feature was brought in to help such customers be able to apply the data rules that are corresponding to a given file and a given format that it is expected to come in. So those predefined rules is something you can define and keep it under the data quality and under the heading of data contracts. You can keep them predefined, and based on the data file that is coming in at the time of incoming, you'll be able to associate and validate those to these particular data rules. So you don't have to create the data rules there and then. You can pre-create it and you just have to apply them. Right? How do we do that? Let's take a quick look at it. So I go back to data quality and I'm under data contracts. Okay. What happened here? The tool is behaving a bit odd. Is it my Pradeep, you're able to hear me loud and clear, right? I just hope I have not lost the network. Okay.
That's clear, Satya.
Okay. Okay. Data contracts. Pradeep, can you check from your end if you are able to access the application?
Yeah, let me check.
Thank you for that. So till the time my colleague checks, let's quickly look at some of the other features that we have. Coming to the edit log data flows, it's a pretty simple but highly asked feature based on what we implemented last time. Last time we gave you the option to edit your data flows, and that no one can be able to modify it. Now what so happened is the user himself was not able to modify it. Right, so you had to unlock it and then be able to modify. So the change that we have done is now the user or the owner of that particular who is locking the data flow, they can come and he can make the changes irrespective of whether it's in lock state or unlocked state. Only the user, only the owner. No other user can then make a change. Okay, so that's the additional flexibility that we have given, so that it improves the efficiency. Since you are the owner, yes, you have the full right to do it. Coming to the cross source component, and another useful, very useful component that was implemented in the last release, wherein through which you can compare multiple data sources in one go. Right, you can compare one golden data set to multiple versions of it. Okay, so you can easily do that. So I will, if you have not used this, I would highly request that you go today in your current versions which are already on 1.0. You can look at this cross source component and try and utilize this to its best potential. Right, now what is being enhanced as part of this feature? Well, we're bringing the Excel sync function capability to the cross source, so that you can write those outputs and easily review them in the Excel format and better streamline your process. um, the full drag I've obviously shown you, and now coming to the data quality aspect of it. Well, in the template group we have added enhanced features right now, so that the email notification that goes out as part of the data quality rules, you need not see all of it. So say you have 100 pass and 2 failures, and I'm just interested only to look at the failures. All right, I'm not interested to see the pass ones. Then you can enable only those which are failed or in error state, and you will be able to see only the status for those in the email notifications. And it is a simple ask, but it was it improves the efficiency of you looking at an email. You are able to reduce the noise and be able to efficiently look at the alerts that have been raised. Last but not the least, on the data quality, one of the major highlights is the data quality connection retry limit. In the previous cases, retry mechanism, there is any connection errors or connection drops that have happened while executing a data rules or data quality, you do not have the capability to retry. But today you can set the app properties. You can say, okay, if there is a connection error with any of my databases, have the ability to keep a retry, and also you can mention the amount of interval that you want between each retry as well. Right? So very useful features for you to get it done. Okay. With that, I hope our environment is back up. Any update, Pradeep, on this? Are you able to access?
No, sir, there is some issue. But
Okay.
the team is working on it. Yeah.
Okay, appreciate. So without much ado, then Pradeep, let me stop sharing. Probably once the application is back up, we can showcase those functionalities. So why don't we get started on the BI validator side of it? Okay.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen, sir? No, sir, I'm audible.
Sorry, what was that, Pradeep?
No, I'm audible, right?
You're audible, Pradeep. Please go ahead.
Okay. So thank you, Syed. So hello, everyone. So I will now walk you through the latest enhancements so we have made in the BI validator side. So our focus in this release has been to help the organization, to improve the quality and reliability and the performance of the BI assets. So while reducing the manual validation efforts, so I will cover some of the key update and demonstrate how they work. So one of the key updates in this release, yeah. So one of the key updates in this release is the addition of the looker support within the BI validator. So in this release, we are extending our BI validation capabilities to support the looker, similar to our existing integrations with the Power BI, Tableau, and the Oracle Analytics. So now user can now perform the automated testing and the validation for looker, dashboard, and looks using the DataOps suite. So we quickly we'll see actually the environment is working or not.
Yeah, environment is back up and running, Pradeep. There was a minor update that happened. So yeah, it's up and running.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so let me first show the source configurations. One second. Okay. Okay, this is some issue on the source configurations. So normally in a source configurations, once you navigate to the screen, right? So you can now see a looker has been added as one of the supported BI source. So once configured, now users can connect data suite to the looker environment. So now
Can you
we'll
just
go to the,
refresh it, probably, Pradeep? I'm able to access that actually.
yeah, now able to access it. Now, if you come to the end, so now you can see the looker, the looker data
You
source.
probably have to share your screen. I don't see the screen.
Second, let me stop. Let me reshare it.
Now we can see your screen. Yeah, we see the
Okay.
PPT.
Okay. So I was saying, like, once you go to the data sources, so now you can see the Looker data source here, you can find it. So now we'll go to the data flows. And now for the component side. In a components, so if you search for the Looker, so now you will notice a three new Looker specific components. You can see here a Looker component, a Looker BI component, and a Looker regression component, and the Looker upgrade component. So now come back to the Looker component side. So let's start with that Looker component. So this works very similar to the other BI components currently we have. So we simply select the Looker dashboard. Here we can simply select the Looker dashboard or a look. So DataOps Suite, it loads the report for each visualization with the dashboard. The data are automatically generated. So these are the data sets can be used for the downstream validations and comparison activities. So the same capability is available for a Looker dashboard and a look. So next, if you look at the upgrade component, so one common challenge during the BI upgrades or the report migration, it's ensuring that a report continue to behave exactly as expected. Right? So using this component, we can load two version of reports like report A and report B and automatically compare them. And if you go to the result screen, so the data suite identifies the difference such as a changes in the visual appearance or changes in the text or any modification in the report elements or any inconsistencies introduced during the upgrades, right? So this really helps team to validate upgrades quickly and confidently. So we'll quickly check on the next one, the Looker regression component. So this regression testing ensures that changes made to the report do not unintentionally impact the existing functionality. So in this process, first we as usual load the report, and first we create a benchmark for the validated Looker report. So during future executions, the live report is compared against the benchmark. Any differences identified between the benchmark and the current reports are automatically highlighted, allowing teams to quickly detect the unexpected changes. Here you can see it, right? Yeah. So finally, Looker support brings the same powerful capabilities that customers already use for the Power BI and Tableau into the Looker ecosystem. So next, we'll go to the catalog, BI catalog. So in many organization, BI information is scattered across multiple tools. Report validation results are stored in one place, data model details in another, the performance analysis somewhere else, and the recommendation often tracked manually, right? So as a result, a BI team spends significant time switching between the system to answer the simple questions like such as which reports are failing validations. Right? So what tables and columns are being used and which visuals are impacting the performance. So without a centralized view governance and become very difficult and troubleshooting will definitely takes a longer and maintaining a B assets become increasingly complex, right? So this enhanced BI catalog addresses these challenges by becoming a single centralized repository for BI insights. So instead of only mapping data flows and endpoints, now the catalog now consolidates the report validations, data model information, visual analysis, and the performance matrix into one single location. Let's see that. Yeah. So now here you can see it, right? So we are into the BI catalog and I've selected one of the report called store sales, right? So let's start with the report validation part. For every report, a test plan executed through the validator, so the BI catalog, it captures and presents the validation results, like the high-level report summary, like the test execution status, it's a pass or fail statistics. If if user really want to deeper insights, so they can simply click this view that navigates to the original test plan for the more details. They can see the more details for this, right? So next we'll go to the data model info. So this section provides a complete visibility into the underlying schematic models used by the report. So user can now understand which tables are part of models, right? So you can see it. So which are unused, the used, and the relations for the model, right? So and if you come to the table wise, and you can see for each column the used and unused columns. So this helps really the organization to optimize and garner the BI model more effectively. So now coming to the next, the visual analysis. So this visual analysis section provides recommendations and the bookmarks, and user can review the identified recommendation quickly and navigate to the corresponding bookmarks for further investigations. So now if you, for the page wise, if you click on any page, now you can see the a skeleton layout of the a page for all the visuals. Now here you can see the visual titles, charts, and the load time as well. How much time this visual is loading. All this information you can see in the screen. So next, if you go to the report performance, so this report performance capability helps organization understand how their reports behave from an end user perspective. It measures like how long the reports and individual page take a load and allow teams to stimulate the different user loads to evaluate the performance under a real world conditions. And anyway, this comes, you already know that this is a mapping of the data flow for that report. So this is about the get BI catalog. So this we have done for the Power BI and Tableau. So we can use that. Okay. So next one is a new component we have introduced called a benchmark component. Example like in enterprise BI and ETL environments, a data pipeline runs repeatedly while the data source data is changes continuously. After each execution, a team needs to confirm that the newly processed data is still a consistent with the previously validated data. So without a baseline snapshot, it becomes difficult to detect a missing records, unexpected volume changes, or a source system updates or the migration. So the benchmark component solve this problem by capturing and storing a point in time, a snapshot of a selected data set. This snapshot becomes a trusted reference baseline that can be compared with the future data loads. By preserving this historical version of data, the team can now validate whether the last ignition that matches the benchmark or not. Identify changes in the record count and data quality issues before they affect the downstream reports. We'll quickly see the demo actually about the benchmark one. So here is the properties tab. So we select the source component whose data set we want to benchmark. The component automatically detects, fetches the data sets produced by the selected components. And the next dataset tab, we can see all the data sets generated by the selected component. From here, we can choose which dataset we want to preserve and as the benchmark datasets. We can also customize the dataset names or suffix to make the future identification easier. And this benchmark tab, once the configuration is complete, we move to the benchmark tab and execute the process. So the suite captures the selected datasets and store them as a benchmark files in the configured store location. So these benchmark datasets remain unchanged and act as our trusted baseline until we explicitly choose them to update them. And we have an option of update benchmark as well. Suppose the business validates a newer version of data and want to use it as a new reference point. So in that case, we can simply use that update benchmark option. The existing benchmark will refresh with the latest validated data. Right? So this is about the benchmark. And coming to the next one, the custom validation in the BI analyzer. We quickly. So to tell about this custom validation, like, we have enhanced this custom recommendations capabilities, within the Power BI analyzer. So organizations now define and apply their own recommendations that align with their own reporting standards and best practices. So let me quickly show it. Okay. So if you navigate to I'll come back here. Okay. So if you navigate to the template section, you will see now all the available custom recommendations. Now user can select any one of the recommendation which they want to apply during the analysis. For example, if user want to validate the visual titles, right? So they can try for the title fonts, title sizes, and visual placements, and you can simply enable this recommendation from here. So once you saved it, and this one you can use into your analyzer. So once you applied it, automatically you can see whatever the custom and recommendation you applied. So that will comes under this analyzer. So you can see your own recommendations, custom recommendation here itself. This is one of the cool feature. Okay, that's about the BI validator, and we'll quickly cover the roadmaps and upcoming features. So first, we'll go for the platform side. The first one is a agent workflow. So for agent workflow, we are building a agent AI agent orchestration where a specialized agent such as a mapping, observability, and a review agent can work together to automate the complex workflow. So this will enable the smarter execution with a minimal manual intervention for this. So next, coming to the MCP servers. MCP servers will provide a standardized and a secure way of external AI agents to interact with a Datagaps suite compatibilities. It lays a foundation for the future AI-driven integration and the automation side. And coming to the observability agents, so basically these agents provide like a self-observability by monitoring the pipeline execution in a real time and surfacing the executions metrics as they happens, and teams can proactively identify the issues and receive the alerts before downstream impact occurs. And there is one more important, like end-to-end lineage system. So this provides a complete traceability of data from a source system through a pipelines to BI consumptions. So this helps accelerate the impact analysis and the troubleshootings and the governance activities side. And coming to the last one, the platform side, folder-based pipeline organization. So now in the application, pipeline can now be organized into your folders, similarly to the data flows, making navigation and management easier. And this provides a structure, a ownership, and overall governance of a pipeline assets. And on the product side, so we have first one is we have the multi dataset component. So today, like validating the report against the multiple dataset often requires a separate configuration and repeatedly, and those are the repeated efforts for us, right? So this compatibility simplifies that the process by allowing a single report test to validate the multiple data sets together and providing a consolidated view for the validation results. And coming to the DAX to SQL part, and one of the challenge in the BI validation is to understanding how the DAX calculation translate to the backend data, right? So this capability automatically converts the DAX expressions into SQL, enabling the team to validate the report logic directly against the source databases, so without any manual interventions. Now coming to the new BI catalog side. So now this BI catalog is evolving into a new centralized repository for all the BI insights. So teams gonna now access the report validation, data model information, analysis, performance, right? For everything, it will be a single location. So this will improving the governance of it. And coming to the searchability and discovery, as the organization scale, finding the right asset becomes increasingly difficult, and search and discovery capabilities allow user to quickly locate the reports, data sets, like test plans, data flows, and other assets through a simple search experience. Come to the last one on the product side. So next generation TDM part. So we we continue to invest heavily in our test management data capabilities. So the next generation data, the classification will automatically identifies and categorize the sensitive data in helping organization strengths, compliance, and improve the secure use of the test case. So that concludes that the platform and the product updates. Thank you for your time and attention. So I will hand over to Prithvi.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, Syed, for a very insightful session and for showing us the practical walkthrough. There are a couple of questions that are coming in. I'll start up with some. So one question is, what are the major actions we can perform using DataOps MCP server?
I can probably take that. So through the MCP server, well, you can utilize it to create the data flows, execute them, create the data rules that are associated to the data models. You can even execute the pipelines as well. So it's a entourage of multiple features that we are providing as part of our MCP server. So yeah, absolutely excited for this for that feature upcoming.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Syed. There is another one. When is this data meta for schema drift updated? Like, when can you run the code that is scheduled?
Absolutely, I'll take that one as well. So thanks that question to David. Really good, excellent question, David. So the schema drift in itself is updated as and when the date range that you have on the top, which is by default 7 days, is applicable. So you can change alter the date range as well as the data source that you are querying for in the schema drift. Whereas as far as the metadata that is feeding the schema drift is concerned, that is actually coming in from the source itself, right? So on the source page, you have the retrieve metadata option, which you can click and update the metadata. So whenever it sees an update has happened, the schema drift would be able to utilize that change. Similarly, given the fact that now we have given you the option to schedule all the data sources, so the recommendation is that in the scheduler you have the option to select all the data sources and schedule it on a daily basis. So our recommendation from the Datagaps perspective is it's a simple task: schedule it all your data sources to run on a daily basis and have the metadata retrieved every day. So that by that your schema drift will be up to date as well. It will be able to depict what are the changes that have happened.
Thank you, Syed. I hope, David, that answers your question. My next question would be, are all the components available for the looker similar to Power BI tests?
Okay, let me take that, sir. So, like, not all the components are currently available for Looker at the same level as Power BI and Tableau. So with this release, we are introducing the core Looker capabilities, including that Looker source component, Looker regression and upgrade. So our goal is to progressively, expand the coverage and bring the same comprehensive testing experience that customers already having with the other BI components.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pradeep. We will follow up with any remaining questions from the Q&A section by email. Once again, thank you everyone for taking your time and attending this webinar. If you have or want any other questions specifically answered, or you have any requirement which you believe we can help you with, please do reach out as contact@datagaps.com. And if you want to request a free demo, please do it by clicking the button that you can see on the screen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For further questions, feel free to reach contact@datagaps.com. Scan the below QR code for free demo. Thank you.